The science is in, folks. COVID lockdowns had little to no effect on mortality rate. Well, I'll be darned. Knock me over with a feather. It's almost like some of us have been saying that from day one of the now 2-year-long 2 weeks to flatten the flipping curve. Well, as I'm sure you guessed, I have some final thoughts. Meta-analysis collected, studied, and reviewed from the first wave of the COVID pandemic has revealed, wait for it, those COVID closures, lockdowns, and supposedly safer at home infringements put in place by power-hungry tyrants and unelected bureaucrats and sold to us as health and safety measures had little to no public health benefit. Wow, you don't say. And worse than that, the study also suggests, based on the stats and scientific evidence, that those infringements not only imposed disastrous economic and social consequences, but may have also been counterproductive and increased the death rate. Wait, you mean to tell me limiting outdoor gatherings, shutting down gyms and exercise facilities, beaches, parks, hiking trails, schools, workplaces, right along with community support groups such as AA meetings had a negative overall effect on both physical and mental well-being? I am just flabbergasted. But wait, what conspiracy theorist was responsible for the meta-analysis of several studies that produced these findings? A group led by the head of Johns Hopkins Institute for Applied Economics. Conspiracy theorists, all of them! Folks, are you awake yet? Because if not, you better rise and shine to the smell of the complete and utter BS we've been force-fed for the last 2 years and counting. I seem to remember those of us who criticize lockdowns, shutdowns, closures, mandates, and infringements being labeled dangerous, selfish, and stupid. Well, who is stupid now? This Johns Hopkins analysis even goes so far as to say lockdown policies are ill-founded and should be rejected as a pandemic policy instrument. Again, we probably didn't need this study, though I'm glad we have it as evidence, to tell us hemorrhaging our rights, freedoms, businesses, livelihood, sanity, and normal lives in exchange for taxpayer-funded stimulus checks and the government's empty promise to protect health and safety wasn't a good idea. The writing was on the wall from the very start, and those of us who read it were vilified up and down, and still are, even to this day. With few exceptions, every freaking so-called conspiracy theory we raised from the start of this thing has come true. COVID didn't come from people eating bats at a wet market. The lockdowns were never going to end at 2 weeks. Cloth face masks are next to useless. The COVID vaccines don't stop the spread. We will be compelled, if not essentially forced, into getting multiple vaccines. Children will be compelled, if not essentially forced, into getting multiple vaccines. Big Pharma will attempt to hide vaccine studies for decades. I mean, hello, tell me which one of those wild theories hasn't come to fruition. Anybody? But now that we have this study and this cold, hard evidence that the pandemic policies were a total failure, will Fauci, will the CDC, will the Corona bros who seek to silence and censor those who rightfully question that narrative, will they do an about-face? Will they admit they were wrong? Or will we simply see a bunch of electorally vulnerable Democrats and Republicans now attempt to rewrite history and pretend they weren't for those failed policies? And where is the big, giant, and public apology from the tyrants who shut us down and kept us down? They ruined lives. They robbed businesses, families, and children of our normal lives for months on end and sent some a government check as compensation. What about all the kids who miss social interaction? All the young children who now think it's abnormal not to wear a medical face mask? Where is their apology? All those who miss graduations, proms, weddings, funerals, and life milestones in the name of public health and safety shutdowns that did virtually nothing to save anything. Listen, anyone who still thinks we should be going along with these ridiculous COVID mandates is either making a buttload of money off of them or have become so scared and conditioned by the constant hysteria they can't think straight or for themselves. And newsflash to those folks, look around. The tyrant elites you've been bowing to and taking orders from are not following their own rules and not following them publicly. It took nearly 2 years for this Johns Hopkins study to affirm what many of us already feared. 2 more years from now, what study is going to come out that's going to reveal even worse consequences from this time of agenda-driven insanity? That is the scary part, my friends. Yesterday was Groundhog Day, but we've been doing the same thing for 2 years now, and call me crazy, but maybe it's about dang time we stop. And those are my final thoughts from Nashville. God bless and take care.